You're listening to Arira Radio's Wonders of Jeju. This is a segment where we tell you about the lives of people living right here on the island. I'm your host, DJ Jamie. This is Humans of Jeju. We've got Jay in the studio to introduce another human of Jeju. Yay! Welcome into the studio.
Hi, Jamie. Wow.
How are you?
Oh, very good.
Good.
It's spring.
It's spring. It's
yes,
warm.
It's really spring now.
It is really spring now.
And driving around Jeju is just beautiful right now. So,
I like that you can notice the beautifulness. It means that you have a little bit of leisure to look around and see the sky.
Well, actually, I just noticed it today. But yeah, I was driving over to Jeju City, and I think it was like past the Pyeongwaro, like the Peace Road. And once you get to the Jeju-si side of it, there was a lot of cherry blossom trees, all just fully blossomed, and it was just.
I drove by a street where the cherry blossoms are on another street that go below the highway.
Oh, that's nice.
It's really pretty, but now I know where that is, so I can drive through it.
And there's really a lot of pretty places to go around.
Yeah. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about that today too. But you're going to be introducing a human of Jeju today, aren't you?
Yes, and we have two people we're going to introduce.
Really?
So let's listen to today's human of Jeju.
Okay.
안녕하세요. 저희는 제주 시골 마을에서 제주 양봉장에서 꿀을 채취한 후에 이제 쓸모를 다한 그런 밀랍을 가지고 와서 천연 밀랍만 100% 사용해서 저희가 제주 자연에서 영감을 얻은 것들을 직접 디자인해서 핸드메이드로 밀랍초를 만드는 일을 하고 있습니다. 그리고 저는 랄라라고 하고 지금 인터뷰에 응하지 않았지만 이 공간에 이제 초를 켜주고 나간 룰루가 있고 그래서 저희는 이제 룰루와 랄라입니다.
Lulu Lala, what a cute names.
So for today's Human of Jeju, we're introducing two people. The two are a married couple. They go by their nicknames Lulu and Lala.
But what if I say ooh la la? Just kidding.
Then you're forgetting one person. So we had the interview with Lala, who is the wife, and the couple finding inspiration from the nature of Jeju. They design and handmade beeswax candle using 100% natural beeswax. And the natural beeswaxes are from apiary, which is like bee farms in the rural areas of Jeju Island.
Oh, that is awesome. It sounds like a very interesting job. I wonder, how did this couple become to start such work?
So before Jeju in Seoul, Lala was a regular office employee doing work in planning and marketing. But as you know, when working for a company, the work that you're doing can be sometimes denied or turned into another direction due to the decision of the board.
Right. I hate it when
and
that
your
happens.
boss, yes.
Oh, yeah.
And PD님. And like that.
What?
So
Why does
depending on what
PD님 go in
PD님 says, your work can be turned around.
No, our PD님 is never like that. He's like, just go straight, one direction.
I know, he's so nice. So like that, for Lala, who loved the work she did and puts all her efforts into it, the denials and turnarounds were experiences that made her realize that working for a company, she's not able to design her own life. So since then, she mentioned she began to consider about how she can design and live the life that she desires in a more active way.
And we all want to live a life like that, don't we? So her experience working for a company was what helped her find control of her own life than just living it, the way it was set up. Then after starting to consider about how she was going to live her life, what kinds of decisions did she have to make?
So let's listen from Lala first.
그때부터 이제 뭐 태국이나 뭐 이제 여러 해외 나라 아니면 국내에 도시가 아닌 시골들을 여행을 하기 시작했어요. 그래서 그런 시골을 여행하면서 핸드메이드 라이프를 살면 내가 크게 남의 어떤 다른 사람의 의견이나 아니면 이 사회의 흐름에 영향을 덜 받고 내가 원하는 삶을 직접 디자인할 수 있겠다. 그래서 내 손으로 좀 시작해서 내 손으로 끝나는 삶을 살아야겠다라고 생각을 하고 제주에 오게 됐어요.
Please explain.
So after making the decision to quit her job, she mentioned she traveled to around many foreign countries and rural villages around South Korea. And during her travel, she mentioned that she was able to discover her hope for living a more self-directed life through a handmade life. And her thought was that if she can create something with her own hands using her talents, she would be free from others' opinion and be less influenced by the flow of the society. So deciding that she would live a life that starts from her own hands and ends with her own hands, that's how she moved to Jeju Island.
Well, then, I mean, this was all before Lala met her husband Lulu, right? Then how did they meet each other?
So because Lala had only traveled Jeju in short periods of time before, she mentioned that she didn't know much about Jeju and didn't have anyone she knew on the island. So just one luggage on her, she traveled around Jeju clockwise, little by little, searching for a place she could settle down. And while doing so, she came to stay for a long period of time at a guest house in Pyosan.
Oh, okay.
And this was her 7th guest house to stay, and one which she actually really liked. So having plenty of time, she began to look around the area. And at that moment, she found a very small empty space, which she started a pop-up bar.
Oh, really?
So since she had only worked as an office worker, she was not sure what she was good at. And at the time, she was very curious about how others were living on Jeju Island. So through the pop-up bar, her idea was to meet many people as possible. And her bar had a couple of rules to follow. Some of the rules were that you had to refer to yourself by a nickname.
Okay.
And you cannot ask questions such as age and what kind of work that you do.
Interesting.
And this was a way for people to have like a sincere conversation without being trapped in by like this formalities. Then one day when there was a news that a large typhoon was on its way to Jeju, Lulu, who now is her husband, who had been staying long time in a tent and came to the guest house, was visiting her bar. So she mentioned that her first impression of Lulu was very unique. She mentioned that she remembers like this dark-skinned man wearing something like a dress with a makgeolli in his hand, which is the rice wine,
Okay.
and dancing.
And dancing.
So very unique,
This is
right?
what you're going to have to do now.
Not sure I can do this, but that was a very...
All you need is the dance and the clothing and the makgeolli. The rest is done.
we'll pass on that.
Okay.
And that was a very unique look for Lala.
Yeah.
And she asked Lulu to take a picture with her.
Oh.
So that's how the two met.
That's how they got together. Okay, so there's a lot of things here though. Makgeolli, you need a makgeolli, you need a dancing, you need to take a picture.
I think we need to get away from that you, yes.
Okay, so what a fun acquaintance. Did the two share the same look on how to live life?
So she mentioned that they spent together concerning about how to live on Jeju Island. Should we listen to what she mentioned?
Yes, please.
그때 저희가 이제 낮에도 밤에도 되게 많은 이야기를 했었어요. 룰루랑 저랑. 근데 얘기를 할 때 항상 저희 사이에 초가 있었어요. 룰루가 초를 태우는 걸 좋아해서 늘 초가 있었는데 이제 저희가 어떻게 살고 싶은지 서로 그런 얘기를 많이 하다가 저는 제주 올 때부터 이제 내 손으로 시작해서 내 손으로 끝나는 핸드메이드 라이프를 살고 싶다. 그리고 환경을 해치는 일은 하고 싶지 않다. 그 두 가지 정도는 확실하게 기준을 가지고 있었고 룰루 역시 그 생각이 굉장히 비슷했어요. 그래서 그러면 우리가 뭘 같이 해보면 좋을까 얘기할 때 딱 눈앞에 그 초가 들어왔었어요. 근데 룰루는 언젠가 어떤 다도 자리에서 선생님이 한 분 이제 딱 어떤 선생님이 밀랍초를 태우셨는데 그 초가 오롯이 타서 촛농 하나 흐르지 않고 사라지는 모습이 되게 인상적이었대요. 그런 초를 자기도 만들고 싶다는 생각을 한 적이 있다라고 얘기를 해서 그럼 우리가 밀랍은 정말 자연 물질 그대로고 이거는 뭐 쓰레기를 만드는 일도 아니고 우리 둘 다 초를 좋아하니까 그럼 진짜 아름다운 어떤 그런 빛을 만들어 보자 우리 둘이 같이 그렇게 해서 시작을 하게 됐고 그때 제가 운영했던 그 바의 룰대로 제가 룰루한테 닉네임을 물었을 때 룰루가 자기 닉네임 룰루라고 해서 왜 룰루냐고 했더니 랄라 찾으러 왔다고. 그래서 랄라 찾아서 룰루랄라 살려고 왔다 이렇게 얘기해서 자연스럽게 이 초 이름이 랄라 밀랍초가 됐어요.
Did you see the plane passing by?
You can picture it, right?
Yes, please explain.
So she mentioned they talked day and night, and while they talked, there was always a candle in between them. Very romantic, right?
Yeah.
So that was because Lulu liked to light candles. In such atmosphere, they talked about how they wanted to live their lives. And like mentioned before, Lala talked about how she wanted to live it like a handmade life and that her work would not harm the environment. So Lala had a very clear standard of how she was going to live her life. And Lulu's was pretty much the same, they said. So sharing similar views, the two talked about what they could do together, and what caught their eyes was a candle in between them. Then Lulu told a story about being at a tea ceremony where someone lit a beeswax candle.
Yeah.
And he was surprised to see how the candle melted and disappeared without like leaving any wax dribbling down. So he also mentioned that he wanted to make such candle of his own, and beeswax being a natural substance, they completely disappear when they're burnt and leaves no waste behind. And as two both like candles, it became the best handmade ingredient for them. And like that, the two decided and started making candles using beeswax. And then when Lala asked Lulu about his nickname, which was what he had introduced himself at the bar, he mentioned it was because he came to Jeju looking for Lala. So it was the nickname that he started, basically.
Oh, okay.
So he wanted to live.
So he had already had that conception.
Yeah,
like
so
that
when he was
concept
coming
in
to
his mind.
Jeju, he had this idea of wanting to live a Lulu Lala life.
Okay.
Which is like, Lulu Lala in Korean is like expressing joy and adventure. And from then on, that was how she became Lala. And the name of the beeswax candle they make is called Lala Milapcho, which is Lala beeswax candle.
Oh, how cute. I have to say cute, indeed. What an interesting story.
If you are in Jeju,
88.7 in Jeju City.
88.1 in Seogwipo City.
101.9 in the Daejeong area.
Arirang Radio.
We're talking about today's humans of Jeju, Lulu and Lala, who make beeswax candles in the rural villages of Jeju. And we heard about their interesting story of how the two came to make such candles. Now, we know that the candles are made from beeswax, but how are they made exactly? Can you give us more detail?
Yeah, so for the couple, she mentioned that it took them nearly a year of experimenting to make beeswax candles.
Wow, a year?
That was because there was a little way to learn the ways of making the beeswax candle.
Really?
And there was a small number of people who knew about such techniques here in Korea. Also, she told us the process of making the candles as well. First, they have to go to the apiary and gather the beeswax, and then they melt them several times and remove all the impurities. And once they get a clean, pure wax, people think that's all the work there is. But by making a beeswax candle, she mentioned it's tougher than making a paraffin candle or a soy wax candle. So it took them about a year to build this know-how of their own to make the candles.
I see.
And like that, they have come to a level of making candles that, they have always thought about and desired. And this year is actually their third year of doing such work.
Already their third year. That is awesome. And I've also heard that besides making beeswax candles, they have created a special space that you can enjoy the atmosphere of a space lit by such candles. Can you tell us about this space?
So let's first listen from Lala explain about the space.
저희 작업실에 밀랍초로 초멍을 할 수 있는 공간이 따로 있어요. 근데 많이 사람들이 사용하는 이제 파라핀초 같은 경우에는 석유 부산물로 만들어지기 때문에 그 파라핀초 자체는 초를 태우면 이제 발암물질이나 매연 같은 게 되게 많이 나와요. 그래서 사실은 실내에서 태우기에 적합한 초는 아니고, 근데 밀랍초 같은 경우에는 이 밀랍 자체가 타면서 나오는 성분이 꿀이 가지고 있는 프로폴리스 성분 같은 것들이 많이 나오기 때문에 뭐 비염에도 좋고 특히 호흡기 질환 쪽에 좋고 면역력에도 좋고 공기 중에 뭐 바이러스나 아니면 미세먼지 같은 것들을 제거해줘요. 그래서 밀랍초가 실내에서 태우기 가장 안전하고 실내에서 태우기 좋은 밀랍초를 가지고 작은 버전의 불멍을 할 수 있으면 어떨까라는 생각을 가지고 사실 저희는 늘 룰루랑 저는 초를 집에서 많이 태우기 때문에 이 행위에 대해서 크게 의미를 둔 적은 없는데 사람들이 이런 경험을 너무 모르고 있기 때문에 이 경험을 같이 나누면 어떨까라는 생각을 가지고 초멍이라는 거를 저희가 어떻게 보면 그 단어와 이런 공간 그리고 그런 프로그램을 만들어낸 거예요. 그래서 이곳에 오시면 초가 가장 아름답게 보일 수 있는 이제 어두운 저희가 만든 공간에서 초를 켜고 가만히 이제 살아 움직이는 불을 보면서 명상을 할 수 있는 그런 공간이에요.
Sounds therapeutic.
So in their workshop, she said they have a separate space where they can enjoy chomong. And you probably have heard of 불멍, which is like going camping and setting a fire.
Spacing
and just,
out.
Yeah, spacing out, staring at it without thinking about anything. And like that, they created the chomong.
Oh, that's interesting.
And actually, the couple naturally experience this because they enjoy the feeling of the healing they get through lighting the beeswax candles and just staring at it. And they mentioned that it's like meditating.
It is. We all have had that experience of just staring at candles.
So for them, this was not something special and unusual. But when they went to a friend's house and saw how their friends turned on a video of like fire burning in the fireplace through the internet to enjoy 불멍.
Oh.
She knew that what they had was very special.
Oh, because they look at real fire.
Right. So thinking about sharing that, what they enjoy with others, while modifying the 180-year-old Jeju farmhouse that they live into their workspace, they built a space for chomong as well.
Wow, 180-year-old house. That is awesome.
And unlike other candles that emit like harmful substances when they burn, they mentioned that beeswax candle can be lit safely indoors and it emits propolis, which is like bee glue, which is good for the body actually. So enjoying staring at the candles and spending time listening to the inner you, the couple mentioned they also like play music for you that suits the mood of the day.
Oh.
So also created in a very old stone-made storage. The space has a very Jeju-like atmosphere and it's great for those who want to feel something Jeju as well.
That is awesome. And so I'm also kind of curious about what the space is like. Not having any artificial lights and only lights from candles, that itself sounds like a fantasy to me. But how did they find such a place?
So they mentioned that making a beeswax candle is very sensitive towards like temperature and humidity. And when melting the beeswax, it can't be done by just boiling at a high temperature. It has to be like continuously boiled in a fixed temperature that's actually not too hot. So originally they had a workspace in Seogwipo, but they mentioned they constantly got a visit from the neighbors, which would kind of drop the temperature of the room that they were working in, and they often had to take time to reset the temperature. That would be meaning like spending another 30 minutes or an hour to set it again. So considering about that, they decided to find a place where they can work quietly and people would not be around.
I see.
And they imagined about finding this house that would like lie at a narrow alley road where you have to walk some ways to get in. And while searching for a house, they found the house that they have imagined. And the house was, as mentioned before, 180 years old. And it was very pretty much run down. But they decided to fix it up themselves. And like that, in 3 months, they created their workshop.
In just 3 months? That's amazing. OMG. Wow. I guess when you put your heart to something, it just, all comes together. So it seems like beeswax candles has had a big influence in their lives as they had to find a new place to live because of it. How much influence has it had on them actually, though?
So we asked about what beeswax candle means to them. So let's listen first.
밀랍초를 디자인할 때도 저희가 어떤 걸 사람들이 좋아할까라는 생각보다는 우리 눈에 담겨졌던 제주의 오름이나 우리가 자주 가는 바다나 자주 올려다본 밤하늘의 별이나 그런 기억들을 끄집어내서 디자인을 하고 초의 이름을 길, 빛, 시간, 나무, 별 이렇게 이름을 붙이고 이 공간에서 초멍을 진행하는 것도 사실은 이 공간을 저희 둘이 쓰려고 처음에 만들었지만 친구들한테 개방을 하고 또 친구들이 자기 엄마 혹시 데려와도 될지 아니면 다른 친구 데리고 와도 될지 좋다 해서 엄마도 모시고 오고 최근에 또 애를 낳고 조금 힘들어하는 친구들도 오고 하면서 자연스럽게 사람들이 이런 공간이 필요할까? 라는 생각이 들어서 초멍이라는 어떤 이런 단어와 이런 시간을 만들어내고 사람들한테 조금씩 개방하기 시작한 거라 이 랄라밀랍초라는 것 자체가 그냥 저희의 삶 그 자체지 저희가 이거를 외부에서 가지고 온 시선은 사실은 하나도 없거든요.
Can you explain what she says?
So, according to Lala, beeswax candle is an important part of their life. When they first started making it, they didn't think of it as a way of making money out of it. Candle happened to be something that was always around them, and not wanting to do a work that would harm the environment was the reason why they started making beeswax candle. Also, when designing the candles, she mentioned that they didn't consider about what the others would think and what they would like, but actually thought about the Jeju autumn, sea, and the stars in the night sky when designing. And that is why they named the candles Road, Light, Time, Tree, and Star.
Oh, simple.
Also, the space where you can experience the chomang at first was not actually for people to come and enjoy, but was actually built for themselves. But as they opened it up for their friends, and their friends began to ask if they can bring their family and friends, and like that, various people began to visit, and Lala and Lulu naturally opened up the space for other peoples as well.
I'm glad she did.
So like all this, the things they have created in Lala Milapcho have no influence from outside and is created by how the couple want to live their life and what the couple want to do. And that's why beeswax candle represents their life.
I see. Now I'm curious to know what the candles Road, Light, Time, Tree, and Star you said that they made are like, and what kind of light does it make?
So in the types of the beeswax candle, there's a type called the dipping candle. And this candle is created by dipping the wick into the melted beeswax and letting it harden repeatedly. And this is one of the traditional methods of creating beeswax candle. And the way they design the candle is that the melted wax does not dribble down the side of the candle as long as there's no wind blowing on it.
Oh, I see.
Then they made the beeswax candle titled Road, which is made with ole trail as its motif. And when the candle melts, the wax kind of dribbles down the side in a way like many trails of the ole trail.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And another candle is the Light, which is designed thinking about the lighthouses of Jeju Sea. This candle has 3 round tops on the top. So round parts on the top. And as the round part begin to melt, the light becomes bright like a lantern. And this would be repeated 3 times. And then they have and the other one is the Star, which if you light it, it creates a shade on the ground that is a shape of a large star.
Oh,
so,
wow.
like all this, the candles the couple design have kind of their own stories to it.
Yeah, so I see that there's kind of they put some kind of themes to their candles, but it doesn't sound easy having to set the right temperature and waiting for it to harden.
And like we talked about the dipping candles, the couple mentioned that in order to create the candle, you have to dip the wick about 23 times.
Okay.
So repeating the steps, they mentioned it takes about 3 hours to complete. And also within those 3 hours, they have to stay focused and concentrated on the work the whole time. But having to do the simple work of dipping and waiting repeatedly and focusing on the work the whole time, the couple mentioned the work itself is kind of like meditating,
Oh, yeah.
as you really don't think about anything else and just concentrate on the work.
That's amazing.
Music that you wanna dance to. Arirang Radio.
Today's humans are people who make candles. Their names are Lulu and Lala. Tell us what their plans are from now on.
So the couple mentioned they don't make a long-term plan. However, they do think about what they have interest in right now and what they want to do and pursue to do such things. They can't say for sure if making beeswax candle is something that they will be doing for couple of years or forever. But one thing is for sure is that they enjoy the work that they're doing right now and have plans of continuing on with it. Also, currently, they mentioned that these days, Lala has interest in making clothes and Lulu has interest in making doenjang, which is soybean paste. So in the future, you may see or hear about Lulu doenjang or about eco printing clothing that Lala makes someday.
That's interesting.
So the couple said that according to what catches their eyes and heart and who they meet, the plans of their life may change as well.
Well, I wish them the best in their future endeavors and hope that everything goes well. Now, here's our last question that we always like to ask about our humans of Jeju. Where do they recommend to visit on Jeju Island for our camellias?
So let's listen to what Lala recommended.
오름이라는 것 자체가 사실 제주도에만 있는 되게 독특한 지형이기 때문에 오름을 오르는 것도 좋아하고 오름을 멀리서 바라보는 것도 좋아하고 해가 뜨는 시간에 오름을 올라가는 것도 좋아하고 해가 지는 시간에 그 석양을 오름이랑 같이 바라보고 이런 것들도 좋아해요. 그래서 되게 오름을 다채롭게 즐기는데 저희가 굉장히 많이 갔던 오름은 따라비 오름이에요. 그 표선 가시리 쪽에 있는 오름인데 그 오름에 가면 입구 쪽에서 양갈래 길이 있어요. 근데 오른쪽 둘레길로 올라가면 올라가는 그 중간에 내려다보는 그곳 그 모습이 굉장히 아름다워요. 그래서 따라비 오름도 많이 갔었고 이제 곧 유채꽃 피는 시즌이 되는데 따라비 오름 근처에 녹산로라고 유채꽃이랑 벚꽃을 동시에 볼 수 있는 굉장히 제주도에 유명한 드라이브 코스가 있어요. 근데 그 길도 정말 아름다워서 저희는 오토바이 타고 그 길을 많이 지났었거든요. 그래서 저는 따라비 오름이랑 녹산로, 봄의 녹산로를 추천하고 싶어요.
So where does she say?
So as we talked about spring in the beginning, the places that she recommended for our listeners are Tarabi Orum and Doksan Road. The Tarabi Orum is actually one of their favorite Orum. There are two paths in the Orum, and if you take the right path, they say you can see beautiful flowers there. Also nearby is the Doksanro Road, which they recommended as well. And this is a place in spring where you can see the scenery of both the canola flowers on the ground and the cherry blossoms blossom at the same time on the top.
Yeah.
And this is a road that the couple likes to ride their motorcycle in the spring and recommends it for its beautiful scenery.
Oh, they even ride motorcycle. How a romantic of a couple they are. Well, thank you so much for your introduction to today's Humans of Jeju. It was really interesting. I hope our camellias go check out our Instagram account to see the link to the photos. And we'll see you again next week.
Yes, thank you.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that segment. If you're curious to find out more about Jeju, we encourage you to go check out our website at arirangradio.com/Wonders of Jeju. Or you can check out our Facebook page at Wonders of Jeju, as well as our Instagram page at Wonders of Jeju. We're going to take you on a journey to learn more about what's happening here on the island.